All right, good evening. Today is Monday, October 8th, 2018. My name is Kimitina. Welcome to the Sweet Talk. I am a Google for Education top contributor and a Google certified trainer. And I am so happy to have my friend on the show, Heather Breedlove. Um, she is also a Google certified trainer, and she recently moved to Seoul, South Korea. She is originally from Flagstaff, Arizona. She is also a Google certified innovator, and I work with Heather on the help supporting the Google for Education Help Forum. She's also a top contributor there. Heather is very knowledgeable of so many googly things, and she also has your Google Innovator project. It is called, I'm trying to find it.
Design Thinker Lab.
What is it?
Design,
Say it again.
Design Thinker Lab.
Design Thinker Lab, and you can sign up for her EdTech newsletter, and that link will be in the show notes that you can reference. Please sign up because there's a lot of great tips in there that she gives, and you just sign up and you get, subscribe to her newsletter, and that's it. You're done.
And there's always some fun throwback tech in there. It's
Oh,
really
yeah. So Heather's going to talk about the new Google Classroom and some updates and some tips and tricks that she has learned or discovered on her own. So take it away, Heather.
All right. Well, thanks for inviting me. It's exciting. This is like my first podcast and hanging out with Kim. I'm very excited. Yeah, I've only been in Seoul for about 2 months. So yeah, I'm a digital learning coach. So I'm excited. I get to work with teachers and kids, and some of my day looks like, I might be working with preschoolers, showing them how to use the iPad to take pictures of shapes on the playground, trying to wrangle for preschoolers, to working with high school teams of teachers, developing, lessons that integrate technology. So my day is very, varies wildly, and I love it. So I'm going to share my screen because there's something new we got to talk about in Google Classroom, of course, because there's always something new. And what I'm going to do right now is share my screen, except I need to share it in a new window. So let me just. All right, I am going to share. Kim, we're going to try this. I think I might just have to go with the entire screen. Let's see how this goes. All right. Now, do you see my window?
Yes.
Okay. And you see we're in a bunch of Google Classrooms?
Yep.
Okay. So let's go. We're going to talk about the to-do list in just a minute, but let's look at old class, like an example of that. What would it look like if you didn't have classwork? Because that's kind of the beginning, right? So check that out. So you guys might have a class that looks like this, especially if it was created last year or even before. Kim, help me out. When was it?
I think it was before mid-August.
Yeah, mid-August. So yeah, you might. So just if you're wondering, haven't been in that class for a while, you're missing the classwork page. But the cool thing is you can just click down here in this question mark and add a classwork page, and you can actually just add it back in, and it just takes a minute, and then you will be able to do things like add materials and organize differently and organize the way Kim and I are going to kind of talk about today. So if you don't have it, you can always add it back. Honestly, if you don't like it, you can actually take it off as well. But the other thing while we're here in this question mark is Kim and I work in this area called Ask a Question, and that's the forums where if you ask a question about Google, anything Google for Education, we will be there answering your questions with our other awesome teammates. So don't forget to use that. So that's what an old class looks like. But let's go to my class. And you can also see we're going to go right to classwork. No, just kidding. We're going to go to the 3 lines on the left. And that's where you see the to-do list right here. It is back.
So many people wanted this feature request back, and so many people left feedback and gave the information to the team. Please, please, please keep sending the feedback to the team. They do read it and prioritize, and they do listen. And obviously they brought back the to-do list. So just keep sending feedback.
Yeah, and I think what they are saying is they know they also heard feedback that this is not a perfect solution, but they know you guys needed something. And so they brought it back, but they are really looking for feedback on how they can make it better, and to improve that. So that's why that button with the question mark is so important, because that's how they track feedback. Through there, it says give feedback. So this would be from a teacher perspective of what I have to do, and then also what I've reviewed. And I may not have anything in there because this is just my test class. So right here, and then also if you notice on the left, there's all these classes that I'm teaching or that I'm a co-teacher of, because I'm not fluent in Chinese, but I do help a teacher with that class, and enrolled right here. So this would be one that you're students of. So your students would see more probably classes in the enrolled. And that would just be all the assignments they have to do. The other thing, don't forget, you can click on the top down menu and you can sort by different classes. So if I go back to teaching and you're wondering what you have to grade, you can actually go into specific classes. So that's a way to actually keep up on all the things that you guys have to grade as a teacher, and the students really rely on that. In fact, I had a student who asked me, was like, hey, where's the to-do thing? I can't see all my assignments anymore. And then I emailed him back and said, guess what? It's back. So people wanted it and they brought it back. Let's go back into here. The other thing I was looking at in terms of just kind of organizing your workflow is if we go into classwork, actually, I'm going to switch over to a student one just real quick. And Kim, when you click on view your work, how would this be different for a student? Now I'm in as a student. How would this be different than, let's say, the to-do?
Well, I think with the students, can you hear me?
Yeah.
With the students, doesn't it just kind of gray out the assignment that they completed? It doesn't really tell them a status unless they open it.
Yeah, and then this one right here, the to-do. So it kind of seems like that's very similar. Maybe, I know exactly what it is now. This one, you have to go view your work. You have to go into every single class and do that. That's what this student's feedback was. He's like, yeah, I can see it, but I have to go into like 6, 8 classes. They don't just have a class. Like, so if they're secondary, a lot of students don't just have a class for, like each one of their 5 main or 5, 6 core classes. They have other classes too for like clubs and all sorts of things. And they have things to do in there too. So the classwork, view your classwork is just one class. To do is everything, and you can sort. That would be the difference.
Gotcha. Okay.
So
and plus,
that's what I wanted to ask you, because I was like, these look the same.
But these posts that you have that you're showing right now, they don't have any topics attached to them either. So they're just pinned to the classwork page up at the top, correct?
Yeah, this was a question. This was a slide. This is just some test things, but yeah. Yeah, so and I'm just in this one class as a student. So, and the other thing is if I go into my teacher class, we don't have that as teachers.
Right. See, that's what I'm used to seeing.
Yeah, exactly. So really for teachers, that to-do is really huge. For students, it's even better because they're able to see all their work dumped into one place.
Yeah, so. And I'm glad that you mentioned that because it's important to differentiate the differences between the two views that you just pointed out. So I'm glad that you went over that, because the to-do list does filter out according to a specific class, or you can see everything, all of your classes. Whereas if you view your work in a student, you would see only for that class, not all of your classes.
Yeah, so, and actually that's what I wanted to tell you, because I was like, wait a minute, I can't, why this seems like it's double duty. I couldn't remember. And then I was like, wait a minute. That's
Yeah,
why.
you threw me for a loop there too, but I'm glad that you I'm glad that you pointed that out.
It's like, wait a minute. Yeah. So see what we learned together? This is why
That's
this was
true.
great.
That's what it's all about.
I know, I love it. I was like, wait a minute. I know who'll know. I know who we can find out. Kim knows. So yeah, that's the big to do. And some other ways like teachers can organize their classwork is one of them is to use just now when you click the create button, you get material as a choice. And material as a choice, and I'm going to just show you right now. Let's see, I don't even know what I have in there. I think I have some decimal vocabulary. And then I can attach a topic or not. I'm going to just pull something from my drive here. And there we go. There it is. And I'm going to add it right here. So a couple things is, yes, you can add a topic. So I could just add it under my materials. I could add it under vocabulary practice. I'll just go ahead and put resources and materials. But a couple things that came up with teachers already was that I'm working with that is that when you assign in a material, it is just for view purposes only. Kim, it's not like it makes a copy for each of them. Do you see I don't have that option?
Yeah, I actually sent the team feedback about that.
Yeah, because I was working through a workflow with a teacher and I was like, oh, wait a minute. Oh, yeah, of course. And then I was like, oh, no, because she really needed to. Here's where it was, too. The teacher had an assignment. It was really an assignment that they did all year. And she wanted to make a copy for each student as a resource. She didn't want a due date to it. It was something they just kind of worked on. So in this case, that would be useful to have resources, materials to be a copy for each student, even though it's not an assignment. So yeah, I think that's a big feature request at the moment. We'll see what other teachers are using it for, but that was something I came across recently. And so yeah, it does. Here's a resource. It doesn't have a due date, view only access, and you can't make a copy for each student. And you could just post it right here. But that is a huge advantage now in terms of where before my teachers were having to, create a resource for their students, but say no due date. But I think we found that it was messing up. It was showing up as maybe missing work because they forgot to do the no graded or the no due date. It was, showing up as an assignment when it wasn't really, so it's confusing a lot of students. So we did clear up that confusion.
Yeah, and you couldn't add it as an announcement. So you really had no choice but to create it as an assignment.
That's right. That's right. So you couldn't add anything in there and to the stream or anything. So yeah, this is good. I'm hoping they take it a little further and add some different features with it. And then right here, just on my classwork page, now, I do have it attached to a topic, but what I love is that you can really just click on the three dots, click edit, click here. You don't have to have a topic. And then that's another way to organize for teachers. You can have just some things hanging out on top of your classwork feed with no topic. And that can draw attention to it. It just depends on how you want your students to look at your classwork page. I know some teachers have the resources and materials. They just have a whole topic for it because that was part of their workflow fix for not having a material. But a lot of them are still keeping it as, organization, but really a lot of them wanted to move it down and keep it at the bottom of the page rather than the top. So I think either way is great. However you want your students to look at your classwork, however you kind of want to train them in that. So really it would be recent up at top, and then your resources, materials, or just specific static items could be down at the bottom. So for instance, you could have like an extra resources section, a dive deeper. Alice Keeler did like a respond to feedback section where she would change the topics and use like a respond to feedback main topic to give students kind of that extra to do.
Yeah, and then that's also a good, I was going to mention that as well because I know she's a big proponent of that. She actually creates a topic and then puts the assignment within that topic. And like you said, she'll create the topic as respond. And then once all the students responded, she actually renames the topic or takes away the topic so that that assignment is not in there. And then that way it's a quick it's a quick see for the students. They see like that assignment that they have to do and they have to respond to. And then like you just showed, it's very
Yep.
easy to go back in and edit out the topic from the assignment. And then it just gets reorganized in the stream. So, I mean, you can definitely do that also. I think it's a great idea to have something like that also in the classwork page.
Yeah, and I think even this one, like Tony Vincent had one where it was like if the students had extra time, some of those resource topics where, you know, it might be, it would have been a separate web page from before, and now it's like you can build it into the classwork. I don't think it's a replacement for the to-do section. I think it's just a different kind of way to draw attention to something, and organization. It could even be really organization for you as a teacher and how you want it to look. And right here, I have one like respond to feedback, and then I can quickly just go in and edit that vocab, you know, topic and put it right in that very quickly, just kind of move it back and forth. It doesn't affect anything. And so you can do that as well.
Right. Yep. And then you can also reorganize it within the respond to feedback as well. If you had multiple assignments in there or multiple, you know, posts in there. So there's a lot of options. It's just a way of manipulating it on how you're going to incorporate that in your workflow.
Yeah, and the other thing, especially if kids just, you know, I think the elementary and the middle school students could benefit from, like right now we're in the classwork page. I can click my star up at the top and I can literally just quickly bookmark that on the bookmark bar. And so it's really just quick access to the classwork page.
Yeah, that's a great tip. Yep.
Yeah, nice. The other thing, and that was from Alice as well. She really works Google Classroom and pushes it as well. Just like us on the team, we're trying to figure out ways we can always make it better and add things that make sense. So here, and I don't know why this is, collaboration slide project. Let's just say I'm going to grade that. If I were to click on this, it actually replaces my classwork page. So I'm on a PC right now, or you can hit Command on a Mac, but when I hit Control and I hit that view assignment, now it opens up in a new tab. And I still, as a teacher, I feel it's valuable to have that classwork page open because that's your working space. And then now I can go over here instead and do my grading and give my feedback without having to replace and kind of always going back and forth. So that was another little tip that I enjoyed because it's a workflow thing. Makes teachers, you know, life easier in the classwork section.
Yes, definitely. And I think she's so much involved in it as far as using it to the fullest potential that it can, that she's always looking for those quick shortcuts that can help her go through that workflow quicker, you know. And I know she blogged about that at her on her blog, and you know, I posted that as well in my PD Google Classroom group for the staff at my school, because I think it's a great shortcut. It's just a time saver. You don't have to go back and forth when you're grading, you know, 70 to 80 assignments. Any little any less clicking that you have to do is going to help you get through your workflow much quicker. So I'm glad that you mentioned that tip as well.
Well, and in talking about grading, now this particular test class, I don't have multiple students, but when I click on here, Now, it won't really show because I don't have multiple students in here, but we were talking about all those clicks. So in terms of grading, this also got changed in Classroom. That's really helping my teachers. I didn't even realize it had been integrated in until, my husband's, high school biology teacher, and I was helping him out with something. I'm like, oh, wait a minute. Did you realize you could just hit the next button and select the next student? And he's like, whoa, wait a minute. Like he was going back in and out and all that. Or the fact that you can actually select here and your drop down of students would show. So that is a navigation thing that saves teachers a ton of time in number of clicks.
Now, it's funny that you say that because I had a teacher ask me about this new interface, and she's like, but I like doing it the old way. How do I get it to where I don't have the new grading tool? And I told her on the right side, there'll be the new window icon will be there.
Yes.
And if you click on that, it'll just take the student's document and open it up in its own tab, just like it did before. So you always still have that option as well.
Yeah, and I did have to take a teacher over to that. We were having, it was with comments within the document. It just worked better when we went to the actual document. So there are some things where you might need to kind of do the pop out, and actually go into there. But for most things, you could just stay in Google. And then let's not forget, the comment bank is huge. So
yeah, the comment bank, I've been telling people to kind of have a code or sort your comments by a code. So like you're typing here, don't forget to check your spelling. I would particularly put S, and then I would put, don't forget to check your spelling. And then when you add the comment using the hashtag in the document, when you type hashtag S, all of your comments with that code would display. So it kind of filters out a little bit. And I find it to be helpful. It's kind of more of a quick way for me to get to comments. What do you think about that?
Yeah, that's kind of a nice way. I know my teachers have dumped in a ton of comments into there. So they do the hashtag, and then what they'll do is a keyword. But honestly, what if you don't remember your keyword?
Yeah, that's why I
comments are very detailed. I mean, I did a simple one of spelling, but some of them are very detailed. So yeah,
that's why I figured, like, okay, come up with a letter code and group all of your common comments or your feedback with that common code. And then at least when you type the hashtag in the code, it'll filter out according to mood. And you sort of, because I found just doing a keyword, I'm like, what if I didn't write that keyword in the comment bank? It's not going to show up. Because sometimes that happens.
Well, and if you look here, I just accidentally, I didn't click the control button, and now my classwork page is lost. When we were talking, I was like, dang it, I lost it. So this is, something here. Yep, there we go. Suggesting mode, because you didn't turn it in. There we go. Yeah. So, yep, you can, and then my comment bank is still there now. One of the things with the comment bank I wanted to make sure people know is that let me go ahead and I'm going to go back to my classwork page, but they are only specific to the teacher. The teacher can load up all the comments and have them in every single classroom for yourself, but comments cannot be shared with other colleagues, which is something I've already suggested.
So say that again, because you kind of broke up a little bit.
Oh, sorry. So comments are only specific to the teacher.
So if you're a co-teacher.
Yeah, I don't know. Even if if you're the main teacher in a class, yes, you have access to your own comment bank. But I tested out if you're like a co-teacher, they couldn't access they can only access their own comment bank. They can't access like the other teacher's comment bank. It doesn't show up. It's only specific to the teacher. So it's kind of like whatever's in your drive, With the comment bank, it would be nice to create a collaborative comment bank because a lot of teachers work together in teams. And so that's a feature request that people need to start making if they want that.
That's a good point. I didn't even realize that. That's yeah, because that's huge. Because if especially if you're teaching with another person, you want to keep your comments consistent.
Yep, yep. And so what they did, I mean, what the workaround is, like, you have a document and they each copy paste it into their comment bank. However, that's not updatable. So if someone changes it, then they have to let the others know through like email or something. And so I'm hoping that changes pretty quickly, that you have the ability just to share a comment bank, really, like a Google Doc. So
Yeah, I would definitely recommend sending feedback for that one. That's huge.
yeah.
I'm going to
So
do that as well.
yeah. And the more people send feedback, the more they know people want it. So that's important to do. And remember, sending feedback, you just click on the question mark and send feedback right through here. And then you describe your issue, share ideas. You can even include screenshots, things like that. It's very simple.
That's great. I'm glad that you shared all that. Now, is there anything else that you want to go over?
I don't think so. Anything else? The only other thing I guess in classwork I didn't talk about is you can, here's one way I have mine organized, my topics. But you can also organize it by weeks, say week 1, week 2, name the weeks or however you do it, or dates, subject areas for elementary that might be really good. So math, science, social studies, things like that, and then types of assignments. So it's not just your units, it's not just topics, you can really get creative and flexible with your classwork page.
I know
out there, Kim, that's been different.
What's that?
Have you seen anything out there that teachers are using that are different?
I was just going to say, I know one of the teachers at my school, he's pretty into Google Classroom. So him and I have a few conversations here and there about it. And he created a topic for homework. And he would move it to the top. And then he would put in for the week, he would create a document and attach the document to the homework topic.
I can rename, respond to feedback. And so one of the other things is this, I could literally rename my topics if I change my mind. So it's never set in stone here. So like we could do that, like your friend's doing.
So he made homework, and then within homework, he would attach the homework for the week. So he would create a Google Doc and name it week of 10/8. And then he would put all of the homework in that document and then post it to that homework topic. So that, yeah, I was like, wow, Eric, that is a great idea. So there you go, Mr. Ripka. I give you a shout out on the Sweet Talk.
Yeah, and I love that idea because I'm also a parent of middle schoolers that are using Google Classroom. So I see it from both sides. And I have a 6th grader who, it's his first time kind of using a computer all the time, not all the time in class, but, like has access to the computer for homework and for assignments and all that stuff. And, it's a lot when they have multiple classrooms like that, and they're actually not used to this digital like work flow. They're not used to it either, necessarily. So your kids that are coming in from, maybe in elementary, they never really used Google Classroom or used it all the time, especially if their school's not maybe a 1-to-1 school. So they're just trying to figure out the workflow. So I had to sit with him and like say, hey, your mom kind of knows a few things.
Yeah, you should try to help them out.
They don't want me to be techie. They want me to be mom. So it's really kind of funny. But I was like, yeah, this is how this works. This is where you can look and see where your missing work is. But I like this workflow of like having a homework topic, because to me, it's kind of that inner, that in between of like really helping them saying, hey, this is what you have to do in this class.
Yeah, and it kind of just stands out like, hey, this is what I have to do. And he actually had documents in there for each week. That was what his workflow was. So you couldn't get any more organized than that for the kids to find what they needed to do. And this is middle school. You're talking.
Yeah, no, that's perfect because they're the ones that, and I think even high schoolers, but like some of them really struggle with organization. That's like the big thing in middle school. So that really helps. And like, so I can really click on here, edit instead of the decimal vocab, I could have named it with a week. I could just name it, week 10, 8 or whatever. And then, so you can edit, even if you get it all up there in your classwork and you're like, wow, I really want some of these organization tips. You can just rename stuff and organize for your students. So.
And what's nice also about that is that he can go right into the Google Doc and add the next day's homework in there. He doesn't have to even go back into Google Classroom because it'll already be updated. So I really did like that workflow for the homework that he had that he started to use.
Yep, that's great.
So I'm glad that we discussed that. I learned a couple things from you, and I like that we were able to learn together and get this information out there.
Yes, it's been awesome. 30 minutes goes by quick.
I know. Well, we'll have to connect again when the team sends out some new updates, which will be soon too. Yeah. So
that'll be good. Well, and I think it's helpful for teachers to hear about, what are other teachers doing? That's kind of part of our jobs, right? As like tech coaches and things like that. I kind of view my job as I'm like a pollinator, like a little bee going around sharing all the ideas that I hear about, because they don't necessarily get to do that. So part of our mission.
Right. I agree. I think that it's important for us to tell what teachers are doing because we are representing what teachers are doing, and we are teachers also. So, I learn continuously from people around me, from the forum, from my team, because, sometimes people have better ideas than others. And then that's the way we all learn and share is just collaboration. So I'm glad that I'm glad you were on today to go over a lot of that stuff. And I'm glad that you pointed out a lot of those, the differences between the to-do list and the view your work and the bookmark from Alice Keeler. I think all that stuff and the control key sequence, I think all that stuff makes a big difference. And, it does help, and people just have to try it and just move forward in tiny steps. But one tiny step will eventually get you to the part where you need to go. So just don't give up.
Like I tell my teachers, click around. You're not going to break anything.
You're not going to break. No,
don't be afraid to click. And honestly, we've been through Google Classroom kind of from the beginning, and I've just seen it grown into something that teachers, I know in the beginning, or there might be still features. Teachers are like, wait a minute, it doesn't have X, Y, Z. But at the same time, they really try to add things that only teachers want. And by now, it's like really something teachers are using a lot of. So the features that are there, teachers are really using them. So.
Yeah, definitely. They're getting the most out of it. So well, thank you for being on, Heather. I really appreciate it.
This was fun.
This was a lot of fun. It's always great to talk to you. And I just want to give you a shout out. I'm so proud of you. And, we talked about all that when we met up in New York. So, I'm always glad to connect with you. What I'm going to do is share my screen real quick. Is that all right?
Yeah, go ahead. I'm all done. I think I'm all, yep.
All right. So you can see my screen?
Yep.
All right. So if you would like to be on the Sweet Talk, you can visit my website. You can go to bit.ly/the Sweet Talk website, and you can click on the episode page, and you can actually see all of the episode links here. And the YouTube link and the show notes will be here. So you can go into the show notes. You can read more about Heather. You can read more about her Google Innovator project and sign up for her newsletter. They are great. I highly recommend it. If you want to be a guest on my show, click on the guest page and fill out my inquiry form here, and I will get back to you as soon as I can. And one more thing is, over the summer, I did turn my Sweet Talk into a podcast. So, I know, I can't believe I did that. So awesome. Well, it's all a learning curve, So
we're all learning here.
Exactly. So my Sweet Talk is on Podbean, and you can subscribe to it on the sweettalk.podbean.com. And I am also on Google Play Music. So that's at bit.ly/thesweettalk on GPM.
All right.
And that's it.
Well,
Let me
thanks
go
for having me,
back.
Kim. Anytime. Anytime.
All right, Missy, you have a great day. I know you're
Yep.
starting your day, so you have a great day, and I will
Have a
be in
great
touch.
evening. Yeah.
See you, Heather.
Okay, bye.
Bye.